What is going on, traders, and welcome back to IFX. And I'm going to show you how we can eliminate our fear of entering the market, right? We have so many alerts. We have to concentrate on so many things. And by the time we get the alert, we're going to freak out. We don't know if this alert is going to be good, if the entry is going to work out. And then we might get 10 alerts and be like, oh my God, what am I going to do? I don't know what to do. And then that's when the issue comes about, okay? So the idea in here is that, hey, we are going to give the EA or the expert advisor some type of rules in order to enter the market, in order for us to, after it's entered, then we're going to analyze if it's a good entry or not. And then I'm going to show you quickly what stop loss and how are you going to determine if it was, maybe we should just get out of this entry because correct, it was not a good entry, okay? So the idea in here is that, hey, we have different type of indicators that we're going to be using, which is going to be here, yesterday's high and yesterday's low, okay? We're going to have the ADR, which is going to be this dotted line right over here. We're going to be using the magenta, which is the daily mid-level, okay, right over here. So we have on the right-hand side, we have the daily candle and the 4-hour candle, right? So if we have the daily candle right over here, what does that mean? What is halfway of the daily candle? Well, it's going to be this magenta line, okay? And that's going to help me really determine sometimes support and resistance and what really is going on with the market, okay? And then when I look at prior day mid-level, well, that really helps me a lot in terms of support and resistance. Like right over here, we had a nice resistance. This was yesterday's low pretty much, so that acted as a nice resistance, and we got an alert right over here, okay? Right over here we got the alert. So we're going to be using different type of indicators. We're going to be using the fractals and then the reversal block and the trend block, and all we're doing is we're using all these indicators as pretty much support and resistance, right? And then the reversal blocks and the trend blocks, we're going to be using as the alert system, right? And then we also have an alert system, which is going to be a fractal one, when we have fractal breakout, like this to say, for example, just one example, right over here, we have a couple of fractals, and if a candle closes below it, then we're going to get an alert as a fractal breakout, okay? And then that also could be a possible entry, like right over here on the top right here. We also had a couple of fractals, and then we had a fractal breakout, and then that would be an entry trigger as well. So again, we do have to determine what's a good entry, but by the time we do that, it might be too late. So it's best that we let the EA or the expert advisor to enter for us, and then right away we're going to analyze it and see what's up with that, right? What is it going to do? So now we have these two dashboards over here. So if we were trading manually, we would have to do a 3-step formula right over here that I'm going to give it to you. So what's the 3-step formula? So we're going to be looking at two dashboards, right? Which, to you might be a lot, but it's not once you get used to it. So we have here these last two columns right over here, which is going to be using the RSI. We're going to be concentrating on a higher time frame RSI, which is going to be H1, and then right over here, this column is going to be the mid-level, right? The magenta line, which is showing me the current mid-level, daily mid-level, that if it's above yesterday's high or below yesterday's low, then I'm going to is going to let me know, right? And what does that mean is that it's letting me know that we're already in a strong trend. So let's just say pound New Zealand at this moment is in a strong downtrend. So if I would like to buy, or if I get an alert, whether we have right here on the left hand side, we have the reversal block, which was the orange blocks, and then the trend block over here. And then we have, remember we talked about the fractal blocks, okay? Fractal breakouts. So we have a couple of entries that we can actually use to enter the market, right? But by the time we get all these alerts, we might go crazy and then we don't know what to do. So now, the first thing is, if these last two columns are lit up, I'm going to avoid any alert that I get on my left hand side. Why? Because the market is already on a strong trend, unless I get a bearish block going along with the downtrend, then of course I could enter. But if I'm going to look for a buy entry and these last two columns are overextended, I would say do not enter at all, okay? No entry whatsoever. If one of them is lit up, like right over here, we only have a couple of RSIs, that means that maybe we could wait until the market maybe kind of goes back to a normal state, okay? So the way we're using is we could use 70-30, as of course we usually use overextended, right? 70-30, or we can be a little bit more conservative, maybe 60-40, that once it's overextended 60-40, then I'm going to ignore an entry, right? So you can use somewhere in between here. Maybe I could use 65 and 35, something like that, but it's up to you. But you know, if it's overextended 70, like here is 76, and below 30, 29, then it's for you, you must avoid an entry and wait until it comes back to pretty much into the gray area right over here, okay? So if I get an alert, then, you know, in any other pair that is not lit up, then I'm going to pretty much look at it and see what's up. Okay, so this is the step number 1, right? Make sure that we don't have both of them lit up. If one of them is lit up, you know, wait and see, especially the RSI, wait and see until it comes back into the gray area, okay? If this one is going to lit up, it's going to stay like that until the next day. So it's best for you to see what's up. Now, the other thing is, the step number 2 is, hey, I'm going to see what's going on over here. This is yesterday's high, yesterday's low, and the ADR, okay? The average daily range. So if these ones are lit up, this is a good opportunity to actually take a look at the market and see maybe we can look for an opposite entry. Like over here, we had an Australian dollar entry, right? Fractal entry. So it would be a good opportunity. Why? Because these last two columns are not lit up. So this could be definitely a good entry to look into it, okay? Right over here, we also above yesterday's high and above ADR. Possibly, but what I don't like about this one is that we're overextended, and then I would prefer that it comes back into this gray area, normal state, in order for me to enter the market. So right over here, we have pound yen is below yesterday's low, and these ones are fine. So then what do? I will look and see maybe if an entry is coming up. So it's giving me heads up that I can look for an entry. The same thing for this dollar Swiss, right? This one is lit up, but none of them are lit up on the right hand side, right? So then, hey, I can look for an entry. All right, so this is step 1, step 2, and then step 3, which is the last step, would be right over here on pretty much all of this right here, okay? This is the last step. It is that we wait for an entry to happen, right? We wait for a block, you know, whether it's a reversal block or a retest of this block. Right over here, you see dollar yen gave us a retest of a reversal block, and we also at the same time got a trend block entry. So hey, I look in here, and then dollar yen pretty much, I'm sorry, you know, it's kind of like not lined up, but pretty much dollar yen is right here, and then nothing's going on the right hand side. So maybe I can go and take a look at see what's going on. Maybe we're close to maybe yesterday's low, you know, just to kind of see what's up, right? So that's the idea behind the dashboard. Now, what is it that we actually want to do with the expert advisor, right? When we have all of this, it's nice and good, we analyze it, but then it might take too long for you to actually start analyzing, because sometimes this will light up like a nice Christmas tree, and we would get like 10 or 20 and 15 alerts, and then you're like, oh my God, what do I do? What do I do? And then you might just miss out on a couple of entries, right? So right over here, we have the expert advisor, right? we had an entry that gave me an entry, right? And then it entered right over here, and then it went up, and then it's coming back down, and then, you know, I will have to see and wait and see what's up. So the idea behind all of this is that once we understand the whole logic behind it is that if this magenta level is not below my yesterday's low or above yesterday's high, we can look for an entry. If the RSI on H1 is not overextended, we can look for an entry, right? So once we get a block, where this is the reversal block right over here, the orange one, and then the trend block is right over here, okay? So we might get different blocks. Of course, I wish all of them were like nice, like this one, but just say, for example, this block touched my yesterday's low, the reversal block. I could have entered on this one right over here, okay? If I didn't enter on that, I would have a second opportunity, which would be the trend block. You see this trend block, the entry would have been over here. Now, at the same time that we got the trend block, we also got a nice fractal breakout. You see to my left, I have these two fractals. It broke this one, which at the same time broke this one. The more it breaks, the better it is. So this would have been a wonderful, wonderful entry. Why? Because we're so close to yesterday's low. We also were close to RSI 30, which is M15. And then, hey, why not give it a try, right? And there it actually went, gave out a nice entry. So what we're going to do is tell the EA, I have created a couple of filters, you know, more or less to trade like us. But of course, there will be times that we might get an entry, and although everything lines up, that trade is not going to work. Why? Because that is just the behavior of the market. That's what the market does. Unfortunately, I wish I could tell you that is exactly what the market is going to do. But if you look in here, we have the daily candle and then the 4-hour candle. Of course, if you see this block over here, it was going along with the daily candle. It was bullish. Now, this bearish entry right over here, right now, I should have just got out of it. Why? Because I'm going against these two candles in here. So it's always good to know what we're going against with, right? So if I get an entry over here and I look quickly to my right hand side, you know, let's say the EA gave me an entry, and I look, I'm like, oh wait, I'm here at the top, at the bottom. I'm going with the daily candle. I'm actually also maybe going with the 4-hour candle. Why not bring it all the way to the other side, right? Which actually came here to yesterday's high. And that's exactly what it did. It came from the bottom all the way to the top. Now, it might just keep on going higher. I might just be better off closing it. You know, I had some good, maybe 10 pips on that. So it's always good to know what you have in here and what has happened prior, right? The earlier the trade happens on the day, the better it is. But that's, you know, more advanced. You know, we do that later on. So the same thing right here with I actually entered also on this pound dollar. I'd enter and I just got out very quick because again I knew I was going against this daily candle right over here, right? It's better off, might possibly now it can come here to yesterday's high. But anyways, so let's go back to the EA and then see what the EA is going to do with us, right? So I added to the EA a nice emergency stop feature, right? All right, so you see how here we had so many alerts. And by the time you go check them out, you're going to go crazy, right? So what we did, you know, like, let me just minimize this for a second again. And then let's go and take a look. So we got a couple alerts actually in here. It was just euro dollar, retest on this trend block, pound yen, a retest of this block, pound Australian, a bullish block, right? So if we quickly look to our left, then all we have to do, yeah, these ones are not lining up the way I'm supposed to be. That's why it's not the best. But anyways, so I quickly look and make, okay, maybe it's a possible entry. Maybe I can go look and see what's going on. Pound yen right now, pound yen is not crazy overextended. Actually, this is pound yen right here. I'm sorry, this is not lining up. So pound yen is right over here. So hey, I have nothing in here, pretty good, not bad. So let me look into it and see if I can maybe get into an entry, right? Pound Australia, it's not lined up in here, sorry about that. I don't even have it in here. So the idea is, again, that we analyze what's going on with the dashboard, right? And then go take a look for an entry. But again, the EA is going to do pretty much most of the hard work for us, which is the primary analysis, right? The primary analysis is going to be, we have a couple of things in here that are already gone over with the EA, but right over here, we have a couple of new features, which is maximum candles to form the reversal block, okay? So what it's going to do is, how many candles is this going to form, right? So this is the reversal block. So the initial block, it's formed right over here. So it took only one candle to actually break. So if I gave it in here, hey, up to maximum 4 candles, I just want an entry up to 4 maximum candles to form the block. If it's more than that, I don't want an entry. The same thing for the trend block. Maybe 9 blocks. I'm sorry, 9 candles could be good, right? So we have here, it took 1-2 candles to make this reversal block. We're not gonna count the ones on the left. We're only gonna count from here at the most bottom candle. So it would be 1-2 candles, and it took only 2 candles to give me a trend block. So sometimes the trend block takes a lot more time to actually form. So if it forms, like maybe it took 15 candles or maybe 20 candles, or whatever, we don't want that. We want the smaller the block, or the smaller the candles that took to form, the better it is, okay? So that's pretty much what we want with that. Now, I also created here stop orders, right? So enable buy stop orders. If I say yes to this, right, then what it means is that when I get the block, say, hey, when I get the block, give me some time to enter, right? So maybe 2 pips above this candle, or 3 pips, or maybe 5 pips, in order for you to decide if you want to enter or not right away, or you want to let it enter on you right away. So it's up to you, but you can give it a stop order, a pending order, like maybe a few pips above this candle. This way you have some chance in order for you to decide if you want to enter or not. And then right here, we're giving it some extra time in order for it to work, right? Maybe sometimes the market creates the block and then it turns back around again, and then it hovers in here and it never breaks above this candle right here. Then hey, maybe we just give it 30 minutes, or maybe we just give it 15 minutes. So we just gonna give it time in order for it to work. So for example, what could be a good example right over here? Maybe with pound dollar, right? Oh, this is a perfect example. So we get the block, right? It took 1, 2, 3 candles. I actually had enter, but let's just say we enter. We say we give it a pending order, right? And the pending order, it's going to be whatever, either 3 pips or 2 pips below this candle, right? So we give it 30 minutes. So 15 minutes plus 15 minutes, it never triggered this entry. So it will give you a chance to decide for you if you want to enter later on, or maybe if it never triggered, then it just might as well not enter for you at all. Something like that. The same thing with the retest, right? We can also give it a retest, a pending order. If it enters below maybe 2 or 3 pips below it, then hey, give it to me, right? And then this is what I was talking about to form the trend block. You see how this trend block was formed? Of course, it worked out nicely, but look how many candles from the most highest one, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It took many candles to form this, right? The smaller the block, the better it is. Like this one right here, it took only 1, 2, 3 candles to form. So the better it is in order for us to maybe get closer to the source, right? Of course, it worked out very nicely, but the idea is that we tell the EA, hey, I don't want too many candles to form, right? So you would use that over here, block settings, block general settings, maximum candles to form the reversal block or the trend block. Now, we have the stop orders. So the stop orders again would be a pending order, okay? Would be a pending order, and then this right here, you would tell it how many pips do you want, and then how much longer is it going to take. You know, if you want to give it an hour or 2 hours, that's up to you, right? All right, so now what have we added new in here? You see it here, enable engulfing candle retest. So what is engulfing candle retest? What does that mean? That if you choose to enter on a retest or, you know, whatever, we want to make sure, like right here, this arrow means a retest. We want the retest to be an engulfing candle, to be lower if we're selling. We want it to be lower than this bullish candle. And the opposite if you're buying. We want that bullish candle to be higher than that bearish candle. We want it to be engulfing to make sure that it's going our way, okay? That is pretty much what this is. And then also the retest, you can also have it as a pending order, you know, to below, you know, below the candle, just in case you want to decide, or it might enter for you right away. You know, that's up to you. And then now, again, let's think about this. Let's think about this for a second. We want to enter on a reversal block, which is my yellow block, right? I want to say, hey, enter when we only forms maybe up to 3 candles, right? Really tiny block. I want a nice tiny block. Okay, nice. Now, let's think about the strategy we have talked about before. What are we looking for? Some of you like to look for higher time frame blocks, trend. We can use that as well. So I added in here current day mid-level, yesterday's high, yesterday's low. Remember on the dashboard we have the last column, how we have added the last column. If it's above yesterday's high or below yesterday's low, then do not enter. So if this is true, I'm going to put it to true, meaning that it's going to give me a filter that if this magenta line, my current mid-level, is above or is below my yesterday's low or above yesterday's high, it's not going to trigger an entry for me, okay? So very, very important for that. It's not going to trigger an entry. Now, we can choose candle direction if we want, or if we don't want that, you know, we want to be a little bit more aggressive because sometimes we don't enter with the candle direction. We want to see, we can leave that as false. We can use moving averages as trend. We can use the ADR filter. Right here, we actually hit ADR. Okay, we are above ADR. So now, what do we have in here? The RSI trend filter. Remember we talked about again on the dashboard. Right here on the dashboard, we have pretty much this, right? So these last 2 columns. This is the mid-level and then this is the RSI. So if my RSI trend, if it's what we want to do is, this is considered the trend. Why is it considered the trend? Because what I want to say is 1 hour, 14 period, close price. Okay, if it's below 68, I'm being a little bit conservative, but we can say 70 and then just 70, 30. We want to make sure that at the time I get an entry, block entry, right? We are below 70 and we are above 30. Okay, remember, just think about this, just think about the RSI for a second. Right here at the bottom we have the RSI, okay? Think about it for a second. This is the M15, but let's just pretend that this is the H1. If, you know, we're using the RSI different ways in here, okay? We also have it overextended, meaning that if the RSI is below, right, and above 70, pretty much trade inside here. If I get a block, we're trading inside here. This is my RSI. The overextended is opposite, so I'm gonna do the overextended right over here. What we want to do is anything that's outside of it, 70, 30, right? This is 70 and this is 30. we want to trade anything outside of it as an extended, and then as a trend, we want to be able to trade inside over here, okay? So this is the difference between trend RSI and then overextended RSI, okay? That is the main difference. So the trend, we are trading inside. We want to trade inside the RSI, anything that's inside right over here. And then the overextended, we want to trade outside. That is pretty much. Once you understand that, then you're good to go, okay? So what we're telling in here is that, hey, give me anything that is inside here. Any block inside 70-30. We can be a little bit more conservative and then say maybe 60-40 or 65, and then here, 40 or whatever. That's up to you. You can choose 70-30. So that's that with that. Now, the RSI overextended, we can choose any time frame, but hey, in here I chose 15 minutes. So whenever it reaches, is over about 68, whatever is above 68 and below 32, give me an entry. So what does that mean? Hey, take a look in here. We were outside 70. You can choose, 70, or I was a little bit being, because just sometimes it just reaches up there, like maybe here it reaches so close, and then we might get a block. It might be good, so I don't want to miss it. Then if it reaches here, it's overextended, then enter, right, look for an entry. Then right over here, that's pretty much it. Very, very simple. We might get a lot of entries like this, but it's very, very simple. So this was the entry that I got. Pretty much what it did is a smaller block, right? I actually got an entry here, but I didn't enter, I had it on manual, but it would have been quick, few pips right here. So the idea is, hey, if the RSI on M15 is above, give me an entry, but you have to make sure two things: that the mid-level is not above it, my yesterday's high, and the second thing is that at the time of the entry, we want the RSI to be inside my 70, okay? So that was the case for both of the entries going on right now, okay? That was the case. So pretty much if you go to 1 hour, all you want to do is trade inside your 70 and 30. I have noticed that once it gets out of the 70, okay, for a certain period of time, it might be harder for us to reach, if we're going against it, of course, then it might be hard for us to sell, and then it might turn around on us rather quicker, right? So the idea in here, just as you're able to see, we want to be able to trade inside the RSI in 1 hour, or if you want to choose 4 hours, be my guest, okay? But, that's up to you. So that's pretty much the first strategy that I'm going along in here, okay? The second strategy that we can use is this. We can be really creative in here. I have also added fractals, breakout and stuff like that. Like over here, we have yesterday's high, yesterday's low as a filter. We have the fractal. I mean, we have a lot of things in here that you can use for your benefit, okay? And this way, what we're going to do is we're just going to let it enter for us, and then all we're going to do is we're going to analyze that entry, and then that's it. So again, I have a reversal block as strategy number 2. For this one, I want to say, again, if it's above current day mid-level or something like that, do not enter for me. This one, I want to say, go along with the 1 hour candle. And I also added, again, I want to be inside. This one I was a little bit more conservative. I want to trade inside between 65 and 35, nothing outside of it, okay? And then if it hits, I left the overextended out. And then what I added was my yesterday's high and low, okay? This is in any indicator that you can add in here. So yesterday's high and low. So whenever it hits Yesterday's high and low, we're going with the 1 hour candle at least, and we're inside the RSI in between those levels. Then, hey, give me an entry. If it gives it to me, great. If it doesn't, then it's fine. Now, the third strategy here, now we're using the trend block, okay? I gave it 9 candles to work out. So I gave it a trend block right here. What we want with this one, we want to go with the 4 hour candle direction, at least with the 4 hour. I added again, we want to be inside our, oops, this is not daily. I want to be inside the 1 hour, candle again within the 1 hour RSI. Again, that's what I want. And what else? I do want to be overextended on 15 minutes. And then the other thing that I added in here is enable fractal filter, okay? So what does that mean? What is the fractal filter? Again, so just like this one right over here, this is a perfect example. Hey, if it hits yesterday's high and low, I don't think this one is like that. This one is, if the RSI is about 68, 30 something, 35, we want to be inside the H1, right? RSI, you know, between 65 and 35. And then if it breaks a fractal, give me an entry. And if it only takes a few candles to enter, wonderful. Give me an entry, and then boom, the entry would have been triggered right over here, okay? So that's the idea behind the EA. So what we want the EA is to pretty much give us an entry, and then we're going to get out. Now, I'm going to teach you what could be the stop loss. You have 2 options for a stop loss, okay? So, well, I'm going to give you 3 options. Option number 1, look, right now we have 14 pips positive already in here, is because you haven't broken my option, one of the options that I'm going to give you. So option number 1 is, let's go with the reversal block, with my orange block over here. Depending how many candles it took to break or to give me a candle, then that's gonna be also your stop loss. So if this was a tiny block, okay, but let's just say we got the entry, we don't have pending orders, we got the entry right here. My stop loss, if a candle, this is a small block, okay, because we have only one bullish candle here. If we had a couple of more, which I'm going to give you an example, then, we're going to go over that. But if a candle closes below my low of this bullish candle, then I'm going to quickly close it, okay? I'm going to close, that's option number 1, I'm going to close this trade if it closes below this block, because this was a small block. The same option in here, since it only took really one candle to break, my option was, if I'm going to draw a line, if it closes below in here, I'm going to get out. Why am I not going to just put in my stop loss just like that? Why? Because we're always going to have candles to go in here, take your stop loss, and then go into your direction. You want a body of a candle to actually close above this line. If it does not do that, I'm actually going to close it. If it does not do that, then what we're going to do is it's going to go into your desired direction, okay? So please don't get out. All right, so that's option number 1. The same thing with the same option. Let me just look for another. Okay, perfect. This one took a little bit more of a candle, right? Took 3 candles, but I really want to show you a better example. So in here, I entered over here, and then I drew the high of this bearish candle right here. And then you see how if I would have put my stop loss in here, it would have just taken it, and then it would have gone into my direction. So I want a body closing above this high, right? I took the high of this bearish candle that formed the block. But I want to show you a better option in here. Okay. right here. I could either choose this one or this one, right? I could choose this candle. If I would have entered in here, right, I would choose if it closes above in here, I'm going to get out. Or the second option would be if it closes above my reversal block, the whole block by itself, I'm going to get out, okay? And that's pretty much the whole idea of your stop loss. And then option number 3 pretty much would be just let it run, and then you're going to re-enter again at a better price and then close as an average, okay? Which we do have that on the EA. But let me show you, see if I can show you better examples. What if we're using the reversal block or the trend block? I'm sorry. This is another example. So let's just say we entered here. This would have been this one block, one entry here. This would be the trend block in here. What you can do is you could say you want to be conservative. You use this candle. If you enter here, you're going to use this candle. If it closes below it, you're going to use this as what? As support. If it closes below it, you're going to get out. And you can say, you know what? I'm going to give it this extra candle right over here. Okay, two candles, two bullish candles to give me this trend block. Okay, nice. What I'm going to do is to be a little bit more conservative or a little bit more aggressive. It all depends how you want to see it. I'm going to use this low of this candle. Not, you see how I'm not using it to get out here. Okay, I'm using it to get out here. If it closes below a candle in here, then I'm going to get out. Since if you want to be again a little bit more conservative or a little bit more aggressive, meaning that if it closes in here, you just quickly get out on here. So that the idea is, again, you let the EA to enter for you. And then what we're going to do is we're going to quickly say, oh, okay, if it closes below this candle, I'm just going to kill it. I don't want to give it more time. But if you want to give it more time, you know, you have another option here. Or if you want to give it an extra time, then you can just let it go below your reversal block. Okay, that's pretty much the whole idea in here. And the same thing with, you know, let's just say with a trend block. This was the entry right here, okay? You could say to be like really aggressive, like, hey, if it closes above in here, you see how I don't put a stop loss in here. It would have taken it out and then keep on going in the same direction. You wait for a body of a candle to close above it if it doesn't work. But then maybe you want to be just a little bit, you know, give it more time to work. So maybe we can use this next bearish candle. If it closes above it, I'm going to just let it just end this trade and then move on to another one. And then you will do that with all of the trades that EA will open for you. Okay, you have to analyze it. So the work that you do is minimal now, and then all you have to do now, you know, where it might go to, right? If you know that if you go against two candles like this one, like let's say I'm selling, it might be harder to maybe keep holding and holding. You know, you want to hold trades for a longer period of time when you're going along with at least daily or, you know, this one, but you want to hold much longer when you're going with both candles. You want to hold less if you're going with one, and you want to hold like really minimal, like just scalping in and out when you're going against both of them. Okay, just keep that in mind. When you're going against two candles, just 10 pips to 15 pips depending on volume. If you're going with at least one candle, hold maybe a little bit longer. But if you're going with both, hold that little sucker for a longer period of time. Okay, that's pretty much the idea. Okay, so because sometimes you don't know when to get out. Well, you know, sometimes we just really don't know where the market might head to, but you know, hold as much as you can and let it go, and then use something else that I can tell you is how much longer can we hold. Let's just say we were selling, right, and you're still on a positive on the trade. So let's just say let's say you were like over here, and then we can say if it closes above this candle, I'm just gonna just kill this trade. Or maybe, you know, you can do that also with when you're positive. If it closes above here, I'm just gonna have to close it. or, you know, like you can just keep on running and run it as much as until eventually it did close above it, you know, pretty much another reversal block. So you can use reversal blocks to exit, okay, the market, right? Opposite entries, opposite, you know, like if we would have entered here, we would have gone out over here. But, you know, be wise, you know, because sometimes you could have had 60 pips in here and then eventually you kind of lost out on that. But you can use that pretty much on anything that you're trading. So this kind of got too long, but the EA, the whole idea behind this is that all you have to do is let the EA enter for you, right? All you're going to do is understand what's the whole thing behind it, you know, maximum candles for reversal block, for trend block, what we want to do if you want to use pending orders, stop orders, right? What you want to do, make it true, and then how many pips do you want, how much time do you want to give it to, right? And then whether you want to choose reversal block or trend block, whether you want to use just retest entries or both of them, you know, you can give it both of them as well. It works nice when you use both of them. If you want to use engulfing candle retest, right, we want to be able to engulf that prior candle. You can use higher time frame blocks as a trend. You can use, again, this is what we have talked about. If my current mid level is either above yesterday's high or below yesterday's low, we can use candle direction. We can use moving averages as a filter as well. You can use the ADR. You can use the trend filter. Again, we want to trade inside certain areas, right, of the RSI. We can use higher time frame filters. Overextended, meaning if it overextends 70 or 30, 60 or 40, whatever it is, we can have MACD divergence, okay, as to enter. And then that's it, support and resistance filter, meaning that you can add any support and resistance indicator that you may have. We have added here yesterday's high and yesterday's low. And then finally your fractal filter, okay? So now what I have added on the EA, I have added, I believe, 100 pips, okay? You're gonna let it run, you know, you're gonna have a TP of 100 pips, but of course, you know, you have to determine what you want, you know, where, you know, you have to look for any support and resistance. But I also had it added in here ADR percentage, reversal block, meaning opposite block, right, or opposite trend block. You can actually use a prior day mid-level as also take profit, or yesterday's high and yesterday's low take profit. So what does that mean is that if I enter here, then and I have as yesterday's high or yesterday's low take profit, then as soon as it hit yesterday's high, it's going to take me out, okay? Or mid-level, prior day mid-level. If it hits prior day mid-level, it's going to take me out. It's going to stop me out. So that's it, traders. Let me know if you have any questions, but as a last summary, I wanted to again go over the dashboard. So very, very, very simple. We just have here your last, you're going to look at your last two columns, right? As your step one, what is going on here? If we are overextended, right? Whether we are above yesterday's high or low, or RSI overextended, whatever period you pick, then you're going to avoid entries. You're going to wait until it comes back into the gray area to be able to be stable, to go back into your direction, right? Be very, very careful. Then the step number two is yesterday's high and yesterday's low and ADR. Hey, if the market is above or below ADR, yesterday's low, this is a good thing to go look for an entry as long as we are in the gray area in here, okay? So it could be a good opportunity in here. I actually was in Australian dollar and then I was able to get out of it, right? So you can just go and see Australian yen, you know, it's above ADR. So maybe it could be a good entry, or here $2 Swiss. So this is step number two, where you could be looking for entries right over here, right? Then step number three would be right over here, which is your final step, which is waiting for your alerts right over here, okay? You wait for the alerts to happen, and then once you know what's going on over here, all you have to do is quickly be able to wait for the alerts and be able to filter them out rather quick, right? It can be, you know, again, when you have too many alerts, you get crazy and then you don't know what to do. So if you plan to trade with the dashboard, awesome. You know, I always have it in there. But if you let the EA do most of the analysis for you, most of the hard work, then all you're going to do is do a quick analysis like what I have just taught you, of just pretty much waiting for the entry and then using process of your stop loss, right? You know, we're gonna use right here, since it was a very small tiny, if it goes above my reversal block, then I'm going to get out. And then so use candles as your stop losses, but only if the body of the candle closes above it or below it, okay? Be very smart with it. And then all you have to do is make it on automatic and make sure that you have auto trading as on. This way you're going to be able to get all, and you put it on 10 pairs, or you know, if you want to start off, you put it on 5 pairs, and then that's it. All right, traders, if you have any questions, please let me know, and then I will be around.